Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going straight into a really stark reality. The extraordinary hurdles of transportation and daily life in the Central African Republic. Our window into this world, it comes from a compelling YouTube video series, Le Route de l'Impossible. We've zeroed in on key moments from its transcript to bring you a sort of ground-level understanding.
And our aim in this deep dive, really, is to look beyond those fleeting news reports. We want to understand the absolutely critical role transportation plays there.
Right.
And highlight the remarkable resourcefulness of the people navigating these immense challenges, and also explore the deeper factors, that have led to these difficulties.
It's about offering you a glimpse into a reality that's just so far removed from everyday life for many of us.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The immediate picture the video paints, there's minibus strike. Now, elsewhere, that might be, an inconvenience.
A temporary thing, yeah.
But here, the repercussions are profound. It leads to severe overcrowding on what they call bush cabs. Some of these vehicles, like a Peugeot 504, they're decades old, patched up again and again.
Unbelievable.
They're utterly essential, people just trying to do basic things.
And what's really striking is the emergence of these Baya vehicles. The name itself, it kind of suggests it works, it's fast, we'll get there quickly, hopefully, alive.
Wow.
It just speaks volumes about the fundamental need for movement and the inherent risks involved. And you see this need perfectly with that passenger just wanting to buy coconuts. It brings these huge transport issues right down to the individual level.
It immediately begs the question, though, why? Why are these aging, often unreliable vehicles the only option for so many?
Well, the video transcript points to a really significant collapse of the formal transport networks, and it's linked to that period of instability since 2013, the civil wars. Precisely. This ongoing conflict, often, fueled by competition over natural resources, it's systematically dismantled the already fragile infrastructure and state services.
Just pulled it apart.
And the scale of the destruction is, it's hard to fathom. You're talking about a drop from maybe 8,000 taxis and 5,000 buses down to practically zero. Practically zero. And they weren't just taken out of service. They were largely lost to theft or destruction directly because of the widespread insecurity.
So the makeshift solution becomes
the Central African Republic.
Cattle trucks.
Yeah.
Traveling in the Central African Republic is a struggle on the road as well as on the water. The Ubangui River sees many of these floating coffins, or rather, of these sieves.
It's a testament to human adaptability in a crisis, sure, but it's hardly sustainable.
And it's not just about having any vehicle, is it? The transcript really hammers home the impact of the truly terrible infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. The chronic lack of maintenance.
Yeah.
It's essentially led to roads just disappearing, vanishing,
right.
Effectively isolating entire cities. And this isn't just an inconvenience. It has catastrophic consequences, especially for accessing crucial services like healthcare.
Yeah, you mentioned doctors and midwives. They're reluctant to work in these isolated areas.
Understandably so. The logistical nightmares, the very real dangers of just reaching these communities, they're immense.
So this is where the motorcycle ambulances come in.
Exactly, that heartbreaking reality. Individuals, often with minimal medical training themselves, risking their own lives to transport the sick. It's such a stark illustration of how communities step in when formal systems completely break down.
The void is just huge. And the challenges aren't just on the roads. The deep dive takes us to the Ubangi River. For many communities, another vital transport route, but incredibly risky.
Right. The description of the boats as floating coffins or sieves, it really gives you a sense of the peril. These old, often poorly maintained boats and rafts, they have to navigate treacherous rocks, and tragically, shipwrecks are well, they're frequent.
So it's a different kind of danger than the overcrowded trucks.
It is. And what's particularly striking here is the contrast. While the trucks are dangerously overcrowded, river travel often involves these incredibly long waits.
Right. You said people camp out.
For up to a week sometimes, waiting for a boat. It just highlights the severe limitations, the unpredictability.
And then there's that detail about naming the boats, like Promised Land 3.
Yeah, almost poignant, isn't it? After the first two with the same name sank, one in 2000, apparently with a devastating loss of around 50 lives, it's like the name itself is hoped to, ward off disaster.
It's hard to imagine. And the journeys themselves on these whaleboats sound utterly punishing.
Constant bailing of water just to stay afloat. A lookout, Leon, having to be the captain's eyes because his view is blocked by passengers.
The captain can't see.
Limited visibility. And then navigating at night with no proper lighting, no lighthouses. It's just a formula for potential tragedy.
And we hear about Fabienne's experience.
Yeah, that harrowing near-death experience with a whirlpool, a boat capsizing, multiple deaths. And yet she survived, and she continues to rely on this incredibly dangerous work just to earn a living.
Because there are no other options.
It underscores the complete lack of viable alternatives for so many people. And then that account of the whaleboat colliding with another vessel during a storm. Again, near zero visibility. And the community's desperate efforts afterwards to salvage their boat. It just paints this picture of a constant battle against the elements and the limitations of their resources.
Okay, let's switch back to the roads for a moment. We meet Carl, a bush cab driver. He's doing this incredibly difficult journey to the capital, Bangui.
Mm-hmm.
And the sheer fact that it takes him 2 full days, 2 days, to cover just 420 kilometers of destroyed tracks, it really emphasizes the dire state of things.
It really does. And what stands out with Carl is his reliance on, well, more than just driving skills. He talks about needing divine protection.
Right, against perceived jealousy and bad spells.
Yeah, and that highlights this deep sense of vulnerability, the lack of control these drivers must feel in such unpredictable, often lawless conditions.
And the risks for the passengers.
Yeah.
Crammed into these overloaded trucks.
Immense, the constant threat of falling out. And the very real possibility of the driver facing imprisonment if a passenger dies, which, the source says is tragically common.
So the journey sounds just relentlessly grueling for everyone.
Constantly having to get out, passengers walking through incredibly tough terrain, even in the dark, up steep hills.
And then that encounter, the presidential guard firing a Kalashnikov.
Deeply unsettling. It just brings home the pervasive lawlessness, the intimidation that can be part of everyday life on these routes.
It starkly illustrates the fragility of the rule of law there, doesn't it? The arbitrary exercise of power.
Absolutely. A simple request to pass escalating to gunfire, it just underscores the climate of insecurity.
And the overnight stop in the village.
Yeah.
You can just picture the exhaustion.
Total exhaustion. Travelers who've already endured up to 18 hours on the road. And then the desperate scramble for any available space in the morning. It's a vivid picture.
Mal à l'aise. On a problème. C'est difficile parce qu'il n'y a pas les moyens roulants. Il n'y a pas les moyens logistiques pour le gouvernement. Le gouvernement n'a pas mis quelque chose en disposition de cette population pour le transport.
Puis voyager là pour la légaison, choni légaison puis voyager là pour la un goût n'a pas pique so ai qui passe ya on tu sois en parlant ça de ça la songa ti yonga kile ona nisa amengeni ko so kwanga kile songa la ti voyager ga gente si tu abara pe ta mara dungo kinjana ko dronga pendo ona da kile jaba ta matanga jisewa.
People enduring immense
These
hardships
travelers have not
simply
seen the
to
end.
move.
Then the focus shifts to Ngado, this isolated town, cut off by road for 7 years.
7 years, it's staggering. And the lasting impact of the civil war is so acute there, particularly the departure of the Muslim population who were apparently central to the town's economy.
So their departure led to economic decline.
Well, it really underscores that profound link between conflict and economic stability, doesn't it? The sight of empty market stalls, accounts of inflated prices, those are direct consequences of the displacement and disruption.
And in that void of formal governance, the local priest becomes the authority figure.
Yeah, it highlights the breakdown of maybe traditional structures, but also the resilience of community leadership, sometimes in unexpected forms.
And in Ngado, survival is, well, it's a daily feat of ingenuity.
We learn about the reliance on the forest for food, especially the seasonal harvesting of Makongo's caterpillars using these age-old techniques.
Caterpillars a food source.
It's a powerful testament to their resourcefulness facing prolonged isolation.
But even that resourcefulness can't make up for the lack of basic health care.
No. And the situation with the nurse, Benjamin, he's the sole medical professional there. No qualified doctors or midwives willing to risk working there. It's truly heartbreaking.
So the only way to get the seriously ill to the hospital in Boda is by motorcycle again.
Yeah, these incredibly dangerous motorcycle journeys. And we hear about the tragic reality of patients, even children, dying during these desperate rides.
Oh, man.
And the grim detail of transporting corpses back to Ngado, also by motorcycle.
Yeah.
It just further emphasizes the brutal realities.
It's hard to comprehend. And then there's another example of adaptation, the sand divers.
Right, on the Ubangi River again. With traditional livelihoods destroyed by the conflict, these men risk their lives diving deep into the riverbed.
Why? Just for sand.
For sand, yeah, for construction. The economy's ruined, so this is a means of survival.
But the work sounds incredibly dangerous.
Oh, the physical toll, the danger, it's immense. Diving up to 10 meters, maybe 70 times a day in strong currents, enduring intense ear pain, facing real risks of organ damage, exhaustion, even drowning.
Yet they do it because the pay, relatively speaking.
Relatively, yes. The pay, maybe $6 to $15 per boatload of sand, shared between two divers. It's still meager, but significantly higher than the average daily income, which is apparently around $1.50. So it's desperate, but crucial for survival.
And their labor actually contributes to rebuilding efforts.
Yeah, a small beacon of hope, maybe, amidst the hardship. Their backbreaking work directly helps reconstruction, and there's that detail about an ancestral remedy they use to protect their eardrums.
A blend of tradition and necessity.
Exactly.
Okay, so back to Carl's journey. It continues. 2 days of suffering, but the passenger's resilience. It's remarkable.
It really shines through. Even when faced with more near-impassable road, they band together, filling massive potholes just so the truck can inch forward.
And the emotional weight. You mentioned the crying old man.
Yeah, contrasted with the women using laughter as a coping mechanism. It's a stark reminder of the psychological toll these daily struggles inflict.
And the transcript circles back again to that fundamental issue. The ongoing conflict, the control of resources, oil, gold, diamonds, by armed groups.
Right, which not only fuels the instability, but directly blocks any meaningful investment in the vital infrastructure they need. It's a vicious cycle.
So finally, after this almost unimaginable ordeal, they arrive.
Eventually, yes. Arrival in Possel by boat, Boda by motorcycle, and ultimately Bangui. Even in Possel, the lack of basics like electricity is clear. The need for ice just to preserve fish.
And that spirit of collaboration continues.
It does. People pooling meager resources for fuel for that motorcycle carrying a patient to Boda, and the simple act of welding a damaged shock absorber on Carl's truck in Boda. It just underscores the constant battle to keep these fragile transport links going.
And Carl's closing words, quite powerful.
Very. That expression of hope. Whatever the length of the night, the sun will eventually appear. Coupled with recognizing the strength found in their solidarity, it's a profound message about the human spirit.
So if we boil it down, what are the core insights from this deep dive? It's just abundantly clear, isn't it? The extraordinary resilience, the resourcefulness of people in the SIR, constantly tested by extreme challenges.
Stemming from conflict, inadequate infrastructure, a strained economy.
Yeah. The repurposing of cattle trucks, the perilous river journeys, the community-led healthcare transport. They're not just stories of hardship. They're powerful testaments to human adaptability.
Absolutely. And you see how deeply interwoven these problems are. No functioning roads isn't just logistics. It restricts healthcare, cripples trade, isolates communities.
Makes them vulnerable.
Exactly. And the immense personal risks people take, daily drivers, motorcycle ambulance riders, sand divers, it underscores the fundamental struggle for survival when reliable systems are absent.
And that underlying factor of resource control by armed groups just keeps hindering any real progress on infrastructure.
It does. It persists.
It really compels you, the listener, to consider how profoundly something as seemingly basic as transportation shapes every aspect of life. Opportunities, survival. What does this tell us about the vast disparities in global inequality? And about the incredible capacity of the human spirit to adapt.
And maybe what kind of truly innovative, sustained international efforts might actually address these deep-rooted challenges, moving beyond just immediate aid to foster long-term, sustainable improvements in infrastructure and stability.
That's a powerful set of questions to carry with you as we conclude this deep dive.